Hello and welcome to the Social Hotelier. My name is Sam-Erik and I'm here with my friend Jayanth Kolla from Convergence Catalyst. We are having a very exciting show, a little bit different to what I have done in the past months. In fact, Jayanth and I, we are going back, we've been meeting for almost a couple of years, and we have done different episodes, mainly dealing with high tech and emerging technologies, because I'm always interested to learn new things, and Jayanth is the guy I go to when I want to learn about blockchain and so on. So we are now going to talk about, we have basically 5 topics, and we're going to divide them to 2 episodes. And what we'll talk about today is scenario planning, the evolving the new guest segments, and bubble travel, which is what is it meaning of bubble travel, and what is now the trends relating to that. And then for the next week, we're going to talk about new marketing methods and deep technology solutions. Now, Jayanth comes from a very high-tech background, and like him and me, we had a big change in our lives when the COVID-19 or coronavirus, that it's been called, hit everyone. It hit everyone in a way that which is unprecedented in our generation. And some people even say that if we look back at the history of humankind for 70,000 years, nothing has happened that has put everybody in the same level, playing level field as this virus. So clearly this has been a huge effect on everyone all over the world, and it's not over until it's over, as we say, until you have a needle in your forearm that has the vaccination. Whether we will have one, who knows? But this is the discussions today. So first of all, I want to thank you, all your live viewers who are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and Twitch, and also the replay viewers who are joining us. So let me bring now Jayanth, who is my guest today. So Jayanth, how are you doing?
Sam-Erik, doing good. We are in a thunderstorm-driven blackout here in Bangalore, but thanks to technology, we are able to make this live. 4G telecom, Bluetooth headsets, LED lamps.
Well,
here to go.
Regardless how you prepare, there's always something which is out of our control, and I'm learning it every day when I'm going live, that there's one thing after another which absolutely have no control over. But you have to be nimble. You have to do your best, and clearly it was 10 minutes before we were supposed to go live. You said, "Well, we have thunderstorms and we have electricity.
Exactly.
How I'm going to do it?" So here we are. You look very good here online, Jayanth. But tell me.
Thanks, you're being polite.
But tell me, there is a new realization, and the realization is something. When I remember talking with you, we were talking about the high-tech issues, and it was all about that. But tell me what has changed for you in this period since the virus started.
Personally, like for everyone, being during the lockdown, I'm missing travel. Exactly last year, this time, in a month, I traveled across 7 countries, 15 cities, and took some 17 flights.
Wow.
I'm missing all that. Yeah, I'm missing all that. But staying at home has given a lot of time to think through things, and work has increased. I mean, for an industry trends analyst and a strategy consultant and advisor, work has increased by 300% during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So it's been good, but it's sad to see how it is unfolding. Across different segments of the society, what's happening to people, businesses, industries, and countries. So yeah, but I guess I'm a huge believer in anti-fragility. I believe that people who there are a certain set of people who will actually thrive during chaos, right? And I'm a huge believer in that. Guess some of us will actually come out not just thriving in the new normal, but designing the new normal itself.
Yeah, I mean, there's something there is a branding expert who says that, because he's saying it, the company is saying, well, they are waiting for the normal to come back. So the question is that, well, what if it takes 5 years before that normal come back? What would you do? So are you going to wait for 5 years, or are you going to do? What would you do now? And because that's basically therapeutically, it's a very good way of thinking, because you have to really think, well, I'm not going to wait 5 years for the normal to come back. And what is the normal going to look like unless I take something, take charge in my life? And so I think every business has that an obligation to, in my view, and responsibility to don't forget the past, but look at the opportunity now, and maybe take different parts of what your products, services you're providing, and looking at what value can I give now that I didn't give before. Or if I gave value, what better value, or even much better value, can I give than ever before? And use that as an opportunity to, whatever the customers is looking for, then create that magnificent value proposition as part of that, what you call the new normal.
I agree, Sam-Erik. I don't think there's the January 2020 normal to get back to. Like someone said, I read it today, there's no normal to get back to. There's only the new abnormal, right? There's only abnormal to get back to. And I completely agree with you. Every company, every individual, especially companies and industries, have a responsibility. Responsibility is the right word there. Yeah. For themselves, their customers, their employees, and all the stakeholders across the value chain itself, right? To evolve together, be a builder of the ecosystem instead of focusing on single-minded growth of the years. I mean, some aspects of the old normal were not great, and we should take this reset as a good opportunity to put to rest what was not great and evolve. Try to correct some of those things.
Yeah. Now, tell me your the company which you founded and partnered, the Convergence Catalyst. What was that about, and what is it now, considering all the changes that has happened?
Convergence Catalyst has been a deep technologies research and consulting firm. We've been helping companies big and small, from Google, Apple's, of the Microsofts of the world to the smallest startups, in terms of making sense of the emerging technology trends, AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, robotics, VR, AR, and develop their product roadmaps, their business plans, their go-to-market strategies, help them raise funding. This is what we've been doing. And if you look at it in the last few years, the fastest pace of innovation across domains and areas has been in the digital technology space, right? And we've been helping companies make sense of this disruption, make sense of this fast evolving innovation, and thrive, making the best out of it. Now, 2-3 months back, the COVID-19 hit, and we've also evolved into helping companies make sense of the new disruptor, which is COVID-19. And COVID-19 has hit everybody, big and small, at the individual level, at the company level, at the industry and the economy and the macroeconomy and the state level, right? And it's hit at the medical, psychological, financial, economic, all aspects. So, we are doing what we do best. We connect the dots. We make sense of the trends. We connect the dots. We help, companies and industries, make the best out of the new normal. And in this case, COVID-19 is the new normal, and we are helping companies thrive. In fact, like I told you, my work has increased. I have come on board as an advisor for 4 different companies during the COVID-19 lockdown, an enterprise product company, a health tech company, a business travel company, and an education tech company. All these areas are going through a rethinking and realignment, and we've helped these companies completely change their product and business offerings to actually evolve better and grow their businesses during the pandemic phase in the last 2 months.
Excellent. That's I'm very happy that this is the direction that things are going, and that you have, unlike many people who don't have the things are slowing down, but you have found a niche, and you're very nimble, Jayanth, to find those opportunities. I'm very happy for that. Shall we talk a little bit about the topics, about scenario planning, and then move on to the guest segments, and then the bubble travel, which was something that's what I was advertising to the world we're going to talk about. So share with me what your thoughts are about the scenario planning.
So yeah, Sam-Erik, for the last 1 year, you and I have been on multiple podcasts, and we've been talking extensively on the travel and tourism industry and some of the changes. And we, to the most part, we stuck to the deep technologies and the emerging technologies, how they can better the travel and tourism industry, right? And if you remember, towards January end, we got on one episode talking about COVID-19 was a China restricted virus then, and we talked about how potentially Chinese tourism could impact various parts of the world. I think that was the last.
Yeah, it was in January.
It was in January, yes.
Yeah,
January 31st.
Exactly was about that. Yeah.
January 31st, and if you fast forward 4 months or less than 4 months, the entire world is impacted by COVID-19. Yeah. Right, and it's not just a China economy or tourism impact anymore, right? So ever since we spoke, I've been closely tracking the impact of COVID-19 on the travel and tourism industry, and I myself am a huge traveler. I love traveling, and we both have huge friends in the travel and tourism industry, right? So was trying to see how it's impacting. So. The first thing I would like to talk about is the scenario planning, right? And like I mentioned earlier, COVID-19 has uprooted the normal way of doing things of people, both at the macro and microeconomic level. Macro at the state governments, tourism industry, tourism ministries level, and coming down to hotel owners and resort owners and even individuals like travelers and the employees, right? So I've been seeing what kind of changes that it's been bringing, and I was thinking about I've actually developed a matrix for scenario planning, right? Multiple scenarios. If you look at it, the current crisis from a medico-socio-economic impact point of view, it's not a single crisis. It's not just a crisis of virus. It's a combination of 3 or 4 different crises of the past. If you look back at the history, it's a combination of 1918 Spanish flu in terms of how the virus spread, combination of 1929 Great Depression in terms of job losses and how the stock markets have evolved, combined with the 9/11 attacks in US in September 2001, how it has impacted the travel industry, and most importantly, how surveillance, has been brought on board into individuals' life, okay, and a combination of 2008 financial crisis, in terms of demand suction. Here, there's a case of, demand and supply suction, and how the stock markets around the world and the economies around the world are contracting and or behaving. So this current COVID crisis is not a single crisis. It's a combination of 4 or 5 historical crises. And if you look, if you evolve that, and how it is going to impact various players in the travel and tourism industry, you can actually come up with various scenarios, right? And that, I think, is very important. Scenario planning is very important for people in the travel, tourism, and the hospitality industry, right? To plan and be prepared better, right? Like at a very high level, 4 scenarios. Let's say we are seeing the first lockdowns lifting right now in June. Let's say all of a sudden, for some reason, the virus vanishes from the face of this earth. Come July, after a 4-month, pause to the economy, everyone wants to get back to normal. In that scenario, how will the tourism and the hospitality industry look like? How will the travel industry look like, right? Or let's say, the second scenario, which is a more realistic one, a virus attacks in waves, right? That's going to be a second and a third wave, which will lead to rolling lockdowns. Okay. In the case of rolling lockdowns, how should the travel and tourism industry adapt, right? And let's say the vaccine doesn't come up until the end of 2021. That's a third scenario. Okay. How will it impact? And these are some of the scenarios that could play out. Okay, and various value chain players in the travel and tourism industry, right from the tourism ministers to the employees, working in resorts and hotels, need to plan out for at the individual level and at the business level and the industry level as well.
Wow, that's very excellent. Obviously, it's difficult to say what scenario will play out here. It's just a matter that you prepare yourself for the various you have contingency plans for every possibility.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you look at it, and you've been doing some excellent conversations. You and Abid have been having some excellent conversations in your other podcast, the Hospitality Talks, with some of the experts in the industry, right? And I've been following some of those conversations very closely. And what everybody is talking about, the first and foremost is to ensure that the guest feels safe and secure, and what most of the players are doing to ensure that, especially at the hotel and the resort level, in terms of cleanliness and stuff like that. So yes, I mean, if you look at the guest from a medical and psychological level, even the last 2 months of lockdown is going to play heavily on the guest's mind. So the first and foremost priority is to provide that sense of security to the guest. Now then, that is at a medical and a psychological level. Now evolve that into a economic level, right? What has the last 2 months, which is scenario 1, or the rolling lockdowns, which is scenario 2, will do to the individual affordability, when it comes to travel, okay? And so that needs to be factored in, right? And will people travel with families, or will people travel alone or in groups? Okay, so that scenario needs to be planned out. People will travel with families, but they might do drive-in travel. They might not board the flight, because the entire flying experience itself is undergoing a humongous change, right? So some of those scenarios need to be planned out. Okay, and even at a psychological level, I as a person, as a human, would love to travel, but would I want to travel with my family, putting their lives at risk to another country? So how long will this, will I not internationally travel? Is it a year, or is it a year and a half? So all those scenarios need to be planned out, and need to be modeled to evolve the business to survive for the new normal to come out and play out, right? So that's what I mean. Yeah, go on.
So for instance, let's take India being the huge population, and
right.
India, the ones who are traveling overseas love to go to Canada, love to go to Europe, and love
right.
to venture out on their holidays. Even we have a large number of travelers from India coming to Arctic Lapland to see the northern lights, and just to experience a very cool, crisp white snow and the beautiful surroundings. But now, when if you're with your husband and wife, or your family, you probably will rethink how are you going to say, well, I forget that 2020. I'm going to just I'm sick of 2020. I'll plan all my travel for 2021. Alternatively, I'll do some travel this year because I need to. There's that pent-up demand. I'm bursting. I would like to go out and travel. Do I go to explore a place I've never been before in my own home country, or maybe I don't go to a large city, but I go to some distant locations in my home country to learn something new. What are people saying in for instance, in India, where you're from Bangalore, but generally, what are you hearing over there?
So yeah, if you look at the numbers, as of last year, 2019, India had about 50 million international travelers, right? And we will be number 4, I think, in terms of number of people who travel, with China being the highest, 150 million. What is happening is, yes, Indians love to travel internationally and go primarily to North America and Western Europe during their travels. But right now, all that is being put down because of 2 reasons. One is nobody is willing to take long 8-hour, 10-hour long haul flights because of the entire flying experience itself has changed so much. Get 3 to 4 hours to the airport, up front with all the face masks and nasal swabs and sit in the flight for long duration with only snacks, and you can't move around and everything. That entire experience is is in a bad shape.
And in worst case scenario, you have a 2-week quarantine at where you're arriving.
Exactly. That's the second thing. What about the 2-week quarantine once arriving at that new location? So nobody's planning long international travel. Okay, but number one, definitely everybody wants to get out. I'm a biker as well, so I'm a part of a lot, big biking groups. We're all itching to get our bikes out and head out, and some of us have already hit the 200 kilometers mark last weekend. Okay, so a lot of people, like you rightly said, are thinking about exploring more domestic travel and shorter flights. I mean, from India, Southeast Asia, and Middle East, right? Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is right next to us. Maldives is right next to us. They're less than an hour flights. Indians are thinking about traveling to these places for 2020 and 2021 even. Okay, and a huge segment of us actually travel to North America, US and Canada, and Australia. All those plans for 2020 are put down. Definitely not with the family, right? Even if someone like me is planning to travel, he's coaxing some of his friends, one from Canada or the other from US, to come down and, let's say, meet in London or somewhere in Europe. Okay, 3 or 4 of us as individuals, but definitely not with families. So that way, the guest segments in the short term, in the next for the next 2 years, would take a complete rehaul.
Well, that means really that the hotels in this question would have to rethink their strategies and how and reaching out to those customers, looking at exactly what are they looking for and what are the things that are important to them. It's not only about having a paper ribbon on top of your toilet seat that the room is clean, or has to go deeper and more than that to create that welcoming, that you feel very welcome. And I mean, in those episodes that maybe some of you have seen, viewers have seen in hospitality talks, we really talk about those things from hotelier point of view and also from hotel owners point of view. What are they doing? So these are, and I think the key is really that they have to be sensitive and follow, like being a fly in the room, listening in social media what people are talking about, and they're sharing with their friends.
Absolutely. I think listening, being a fly on the wall, listening to social media, more than looking at the YouTube videos, reading the comments on the YouTube videos, especially the comments made in the last 2 to 3 months, I think will give a humongous amount of insights to the hoteliers and the resort owners and the few movers and shakers in the hospitality industry. Because if you ask me, you can design a NLP based AI platform to essentially look at all the comments that have been made and give out insights and recommendations of what the conversations are. Okay, and the sentiment analysis can be done. But even if let's say someone wants to, there's a lot of time for people right now. If someone wants to sit and do it, the comments, listening to the comments in the in the social media is very important. It will give a lot of insights.
And then obviously collecting all the data, because now many of hotels has been relying on third-party bookers, and they don't know the guest personally before they arrive. So now I think even more important for the hotels to reach out directly to the guest and use the data they have to personalize that experience, pre-arrival, arrival, during the time, and the journey when they're leaving the hotel, so on.
Post stay event.
Yeah.
Sam-Erik, you have no idea how much I want to talk on this topic, and probably that in itself could be a new segment. It's very surprising, and probably we'll do that in the next segment when we talk about marketing.
Yes.
Because it's very surprising. I'll just leave a 10-second comment here to see how much hoteliers and resort owners are completely disconnected and 100% dependent on tour operators to provide them the guests, and the engagement with the guests happens only once they're being picked up from the airport or land at the hotel, right? In 2020, okay, we'll talk about that in marketing, but yes, what you rightly said, I completely vouch for it, and there are many ways to do it and huge headroom for improvement.
Yeah. Shall we move over to the next point, which is more about
Sure.
Do you have anything else on the evolving of the new guest segment, or shall we talk about the bubble travel part?
Yes, evolving of the guest segment. I think we just touched upon how people's travel behavior could be changing. Two reasons. One, because of the infection and the risk of infection passing on to the family and the extended family as well. So they don't want to take that risk. As an individual, they can take that risk, but as a family man, they might not want to take that risk. Second, economic, affordability itself, right? I mean, another thing that we need to find, we need to play in the scenario planning is people are losing their jobs. People are getting their pays cut. People are getting furloughed. And even people who are owning businesses, their businesses are not getting as much revenues as it used to be. So their affordability for tourism, even if they would love to travel, their affordability itself for in the near future has come down, right? So that also needs to be taken into consideration. But what is happening is we are seeing a lot of individuals, small groups, young couples, right? Willing to travel. And the fourth segment that I'm observing is that of digital nomads, right? These, young up until 35 people who are entrepreneurs, freelancers. If you look at it, there's an island called Cancun in Bali, right? That caters exclusively for, digital nomads people. The entire COVID work from home situation, if you look at it, has actually evolved into a work from anywhere situation, right? It's a good scenario. Now, people would love to sit on a beach on the Bali as long as they have Wi-Fi connection and work there. And they, in the evening, go out for parties, have a bonfire, have an experiential this one. So the entire living has changed. So these guys are looking for longer stays.
Yeah, a really important point there, because now with the recent announcements of large companies like, I'm just taking an example of Twitter, which has tell all the staff that they don't need to come to the office; they can work from home, and also the Studio Poisto architects, which I'm associated with. There's also that element that consider you are a designer. Of course, you need to meet and brainstorm and so on. So they are looking also at that part of the week, maybe 1 day or 2 day. There's no laptops, but it's more of the exchange ideas or looking at models and so on. But the rest of the week is working distantly, because that seems to be that how many other companies are looking at the way of the work week nowadays evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone is remote. And if you look at it, on a different note, for startups, this is the best opportunity, right? Yeah. I mean, if I'm a startup in Bangalore, I don't have to hire a team in Bangalore. I can hire a team in Europe and US, because all of us, whether that guy, my colleague is 2 kilometers apart or 200,000 kilometers apart, it doesn't matter, because we're all communicating only on video. This one. So right now we have opportunity for the best, and some of these guys would love to work from anywhere, right? And that is a digital nomad scenario. And how it impacts the hotels and the resort owners is their needs, will change, and they will have to plan for longer night booking. I mean, 21 nights, 30 nights. Okay, how will they be able to, cater to these customers who are mostly staying in, okay, for longer durations? So Yeah, that's a new segment that I'm talking about.
Excellent. Okay, that's very good value, Jen. Thank you. Okay. Bubble travel. What is all that?
It's actually what we touched upon a little earlier in this during our conversation. You asked me about how Indians are traveling, right? Or Indians are planning to travel. Bubble travel is something similar. What I've been reading and analyzing the industry is that for the next 3 years, okay, there are some estimates that the air travel will sort of come back to normal in 2023, right? So up until that time, the entire world is potentially split in 5, 6, or 8 regions, and people for the next 2, 3 years will travel in those regions itself, right? Something like a 4, 5 hour flight, one single hop, not multi-hop flights, and stuff like that. So, for example, Chinese are the biggest travelers for the last few years. I mean, last year, 150 million of them traveled, and most of them to North America, Europe, and for the last few years, how European travel and hospitality industry has been, trying to get China ready, right? In terms of the food, the cuisine, the breakfast spread, the amenities in the rooms and stuff like that. Now, probably that might not be the same because Chinese might travel more towards the Southeast Asia and the East Asia region, right? Indians would travel within India, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Middle East. And Europeans would travel, to a significant extent within Europe. North America, within North America. So we are witnessing multiple bubbles when it comes to the tourism industry. Multiple bubbles, the world is being split into. And for the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of travel happening within these bubbles. Okay, and discovering new destinations, having new experiences. Different forms of travel, like I said, longer form of travel, driving in, or shorter flights. Okay, so all this will have impact, on the industry as such, right? So airlines need to figure out the best, pricing, taking into consideration their profitability for short duration flights. Okay. They can't make money out of the long duration flights anymore, and some of these. So the industry impact, economic impact on the industry will be something like this. So the entire planning needs to be based on this.
But also, when I was thinking about myself traveling, and if I would take an airplane, I definitely want to know what kind of circulation air they have.
Right. Right.
What is it called? It's called HEPA. High efficiency particulate filters, which is in all the large modern aircraft, but the smaller aircrafts evidently don't have them. So I would be concerned about wearing a mask is one thing, but I would be very interested that they have this in place.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. A lot of these concerns will come into play, and the ecosystem needs to be ready with that. So and hence bubble travel. So it's a very good practical scenario that can play out, that people will be traveling within 4 to 5 hour air hop destinations, and that way look at the world as multiple bubbles, about 6 or 8 regions, and people traveling within these areas. So your guest profile is changing. What you need to be ready with is changing. Your guest requirements are changing. So that is something that the hospitality industry needs to be prepared with.
Excellent. So I think in summary we are talking about for a forebuilt future, whether it's going to be 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, who knows, is that the bubble travel simply means that the world is divided into different bubbles where people are going to travel where they feel safe, and there's a safety factor, and also that maybe there will be less air travel, and they will stay within their continent or within their area, like maybe for the Scandinavians or the Nordic, they stay within the Nordics, and the Europe, the driving travel is going to be popular, but long haul air travel will not be popular, and clearly also the large tour operators like who are organizing chartered tours. They have none of them are, at least from Finland, we don't have any tours available by air, chartered tours to Spain or Greece or Turkey, any of those traditional destinations. So clearly they understand also that there's a different mindset now on people, how they want to, because a holiday after all should be a time for relaxation, rejuvenation, and enjoyment, right? So it should not be a stressful experience. So
getting to the go on.
I think you have the weather gods are the thunderstorm over there, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can see the lightning right out of the window, right?
But hey, you look very good. It's very atmospheric.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, Jayanth, I think great value that you're given today, and I think we will continue with in a week or so the next segment to discuss the other points where we talked about the new marketing methods and deep technology solutions that relate.
Yeah.
So I will obviously love to talk about those things, but I think it will be probably more comfortable when you have more light there. And
absolutely, yeah.
But thanks very much, Jayanth, for joining today. I was so happy to connect again to do this very episode, because you're so you're a deep thinker and you're analyzing things, and I learned so much from you. And for all the viewers, I'd like to thank everyone who has joined from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope. And if you have any comments, please write them down. And also any replay viewers who are watching it. This episode with Jayanth is becoming also a podcast. So you can go to the Social Hotelier podcast show. That's where you will hear Jayanth and mine discussions where we are sharing thoughts and impressions and exchange ideas of what's happening in the world.